have a look at those two iconic scenes from anime. The final Getsuga Tensho from Bleach and all new Super Saiyan transformations from the Dragon Ball series. They're pretty awesome, right? Nope. I'm afraid your favorite anime moment is pure garbage. No, I'm kidding. They're really awesome. They are some of my favorite anime moments, but with a big fat asterisk. But I'll get to that later. Before I start, I just want to say that I started this video planning for it to be one video. But as I wrote the script, it kept on getting longer and longer. So now I will make it into 2 or 3 videos. This one about the problem with anime power systems, and I'll give examples of not so good power systems. The next video will be about the solution to those problems and examples of a good power system. And the last one, possibly, I will be discussing what the best power system in anime is, in my opinion at least. Okay, now let's ask, what's the importance of a good power system? Simply, it is to help give well-written, satisfying resolutions to problems and fights. A power system is a storytelling tool. With a good tool, you can make wonders, but with a flawed tool, it's easier to make mistakes. And you can make a good product with a flawed tool, and you can make a bad product with a good tool, but why not make your life easier and make a good tool in the first place? And the escalation problem in shonen anime that has been talked about a lot in Anitube is another symptom of not having a good power system. So what makes a good power system? Best-selling American fantasy author Brandon Sanderson, who's well known for his amazing power systems or magic systems, gives 4 laws to making good power systems. The first is an author's ability to solve conflict with a power is directly proportional to how well the reader understands said power. Meaning, you should only solve problems with magical powers if the audience understands this power. Why? Well, let's say a character has a power that we as the audience completely do not understand, and then that power that we don't understand solves a problem or defeats a villain. This power can constitute a deus ex machina. If you don't know what that means, I don't blame you, because apparently most shonen mangaka don't seem to know what that means either. Deus ex machina loosely translates from Latin to an ass pull. No, but really, it means God from the machine. In Greek theatre, they would always write themselves into a corner, and then at the end of the play, a machine carrying an actor playing God would come and solve all the problems. So a deus ex machina is when you have an almost unwinnable situation or unresolvable problem, so that the author adds a new power or new ability or even an event out of thin air that leads to the protagonist winning this unwinnable situation. So if we get a new power we don't understand in the nick of time, that is a deus ex machina. Sounds familiar? Anyways, so the second law Sanderson-sama gives is what I discussed in My Hero Academia's video, adding limitations and costs to the power system. And the third law tells you to expand on the power system before you add something new. A brilliant power system is less often one with 1,000 different powers and abilities, and more often a power system with relatively few powers that the author has considered in depth. This is where many anime fall short. Many anime just keep adding new and different powers. That's not inherently bad, but it means that a lot or even most powers can be boring, generic, and not have much depth to them. In My Hero Academia video, due to the nature of the video, I only gave good examples of limitations and powers, but the thing is, many other quirks don't have proper limitations or costs, and that's because of the large number of quirks in My Hero Academia. There's just no way that the author can give enough depth to each and every power. And the last law, I'll talk about the last law in the next video. Now let's examine how some of the most popular shonen anime treat those laws. Now before I get into that, I am in no way saying that the following anime are bad. In fact, I love almost all of them. but I'm just analyzing their power systems. And despite me criticizing them, I will also talk about the advantages such power systems have in my next video. And I will start with Bleach. In Bleach, we have some vague measure of a power system for Shinigami. You have your sword, or Zanpakuto, which has 2 higher levels, Shikai, and the ultimate form, which is Bankai. And you have Kido, which is kind of like ninjutsu, which is really vague. They bind stuff and shoot stuff. There are also some other powers, such as Quincy powers and 4-ring powers, i.e. the powers that humans have, but they are all very vague. At least as far as the anime goes. I never read the manga. But I doubt they added much, and even if more details were added, it was too late at that point. Anyways, so as for the first 2 laws, understanding the power and adding limitations and costs, the Shikais, Bankais, and 4-ring powers vary wildly. They are limited in the sense that we learn the character's abilities in general, and maybe that, limited in the sense that a Soul Reaper is a Soul Reaper, so he shouldn't have the power of Quincy's Way. Anyways, let's leave that for now. The power systems, however, are by no means defined or clear. We get glimpses and we learn of what each character's powers do in general, but that's it, and it's usually more for the plot's sake than actually seeing what the power system is. So there doesn't really seem to be any hard rules. And Bleach, like many other shonen, has a big problem with the first 2 laws. Final Getsuga Tensho. It's pretty cool, I have to admit. I even loved it when I first watched Bleach. However, remember the big fat asterisks I talked about in the beginning of the video? This is it. This is most definitely a Deus Ex Machina. It was introduced maybe only 3 canon episodes before, and it came out of nowhere. It's not even part of the already vague system that's in place. The only reason it was made was because Kubo wrote himself into a corner by making Aizen extremely OP. In fact, even Ichigo training in Dangai, that place where time flows 2,000 times slower than reality, is also a Deus Ex Machina. Nothing was said about time flowing differently before. In fact, if that was the case, then in episode 21, where Urahara says, I can only hold this gate for 4 minutes, so you have to hurry to Soul Society. And those 4 minutes would have been 8,000 minutes in Dangai, so 5 days, so they really didn't have to worry about anything. So not only is it a Deus Ex Machina, it doesn't even make sense within its own narrative. Now, had the first law been followed, and we were given an explanation of the world of Dangai, this issue wouldn't have existed. If Urahara said, oh, time flows 2,000 times slower, and so I can only hold the gate for a fraction of a second here, so that'll be 4 minutes there, and that would have been okay. But that didn't happen. And that's the importance of the first law. Anyways, so back to Final Getsuga Tensho. You might argue that there are a few saving graces for the Final Getsuga Tensho, in that although the Final Getsuga Tensho did win the fight for the most part, it didn't directly win the fight because Urahara's Kido sealed Aizen. And the other saving grace would be that the power has a big cost, which is losing his power. The only problem is those saving graces aren't even that, because the win was by a newly invented, never heard of before Kido that Urahara planted in another Kido that happened off screen and was explained later on. And that came at the last minute to save the day. That is a Deus Ex Machina in its purest form. It's an ass pull like no other. It must have been painful for Kubo to pull something this big out of his ass. Anyways, you get the point now. And also, a series of other ass pulls were used to get Ichigo's power back and give him even more powers. As for the third law, I think Bleach doesn't completely disregard it, as they do explore and expand on the system already in place, Only problem is the expansion is often in the form of more Aspos. Like I said, Bleach wasn't the only anime like that. Many shonen anime suffer from the same problems. Another big example is Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball suffers from many of the same issues. It probably influenced a lot of shonen anime to repeat those mistakes. Dragon Ball's power system is soft and vague, and like the final Getsuga Tensho, new Super Saiyan transformations are usually Deus Ex Machinas. I'll talk about Dragon Ball Super because I've watched it recently and because I haven't watched Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z in such a long time. In Dragon Ball Super, there are many examples of Deus Ex Machinas because of not setting rules or even not abiding by some of the rules already set. For example, the Mafuba, or the evil containment wave that was used in Dragon Ball, had the cost of taking the user's life, but when used in Dragon Ball Super, they ignored this rule. Another example is almost everything about the ending of the Future Trunks arc, the Spirit Sword, Xeno's involvement, etc. And I know Xeno's involvement was kind of foreshadowed, but the funny thing is, it was a god's involvement that solved the problem, which is kind of the definition of a Deus Ex Machina. Anyways, many other shonen have problems like that, so I can't really go into details about all of them, and the video is already getting too long. And this is it for me. So what do you guys think? Did I make any sense? Was everything I said just completely wrong? And I know there are many other shows that could have been included, so what do you think? Are there any shows that dealt with this problem well? Are there any shows that didn't deal with them well at all? Please share that in the comment section below. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Otaku Doctor here, thank you for watching.